Emily Ruiz had lived in Portland, Maine her entire life, but the night of October 28th felt completely alien. Power had been flickering on and off since sunset, and a fierce nor'easter was rolling in, clearing the streets far earlier than usual. It was the kind of storm that made the world outside feel hostile and unwelcoming. Inside her small apartment, she sat alone, wrapped tightly in a wool blanket, trying her best to ignore the constant mournful howl of the wind as it battered her windows. The sound was relentless, a lonely soundtrack to an already unsettling evening. At precisely 9:47 p.m., the quiet was broken by a sharp buzz from her phone. She picked it up, expecting a message from a friend or a news alert about the storm. But the notification on her screen made her frown. It read, "Unknown device connected. Location, your living room." Emily was confused. She wasn't a tech enthusiast. She owned her phone and a laptop. And that was it. There were no smart speakers, no smart lights. Nothing else that could possibly connect to her network. Her laptop was shut down and tucked away in her bedroom, so it couldn't be that. Curiosity mixed with a faint unease. She tapped the notification to see more details. The next screen made her breath catch in her throat. Device name, Emily's iPhone mirrored. Status, active. Mirrored. What did that even mean? Mirrored by what? A cold dread, slow and heavy, began to seep into her bones. She slowly got to her feet, the blanket falling from her shoulders. Her eyes darted around the living room, forcing herself to scan every corner, every shadow. But there was nothing. Just the familiar shapes of her furniture, all bathed in the weak gray light filtering through the window blinds. It was just her, alone in her apartment, or so she thought. Her phone buzzed again, the vibration feeling unnaturally loud in the silence. Camera activated. Now watching living room. Before she could even process the words, a new window popped open on her screen. The image was dark and grainy, the quality poor, but the scene was unmistakable. It was her own living room, viewed from a high angle somewhere near the ceiling. The feed showed the top of her couch, her cluttered coffee table with a half-empty mug, and Emily let out a small, strangled gasp. In the far corner of the room, standing by the coat rack, was a figure. It was tall, unnaturally thin, and completely shrouded in shadow. Perfect silhouette against the dim wall. Its head was tilted at an impossible angle, far to the left, as if its neck had been snapped. A wave of pure terror washed over her. She froze, her body refusing to move, her mind racing. I just looked at that exact corner a moment ago. It had been empty. She was sure of it. Her heart was hammering against her ribs like a trapped animal desperate for escape. With trembling hands, she slowly lowered her phone, her eyes still fixed on the screen. Had to see it with her own eyes, had to prove to herself that it was a glitch, a prank, anything but real. She forced her head to turn, her gaze locking onto the corner where the figure had stood. It was empty. There was nothing there but the old coat rack and the shadows cast by the storm. Relief, weak and fleeting, tried to surface, but it was choked by a deeper, more profound fear. Buzz. Her phone vibrated again, the sound now a harbinger of doom. A third notification appeared. Playback saved. Tap to view. Her thumb shook so violently she could barely control it, but a morbid, horrifying compulsion made her press the screen. This time, it wasn't a live camera feed. It was a video recording. The timestamp showed it was from earlier that evening, just after she'd gotten home from work. The footage showed her walking into her apartment, looking tired and preoccupied. She dropped her bag on the floor, kicked off her shoes, and moved toward the kitchen. But as the door swung shut behind her in the video, the figure that same tall, thin silhouette slipped silently, and just before the latch clicked, it moved with an unnatural fluidity, flattening itself against the wall in the entryway, a spot she never ever looked at. It had been there the whole time, watching, waiting. The howl of the wind outside seemed to grow louder, more intense, but as she listened, she realized it wasn't just the wind. There was another sound mixed in, a low, guttural breathing that seemed to come from somewhere inside the room. Panic, cold and sharp, finally broke through her paralysis. She scrambled backward, her eyes wide. Stumbling toward the front door, it was her only way out. Her fingers were clumsy and numb as she fumbled with the deadbolt, the metal cold against her skin. But just as her fingers closed around the lock, her phone buzzed one last time. It was a different kind of notification, door sensor activated. Someone is standing behind you. She didn't want to turn around. Every instinct, every fiber of her being screamed at her not to. But then she felt it, a cold draft like air from a freezer drifting across the back of her neck. She could feel the presence there, immense and terrifying, right behind her. The decision was no longer hers to make. Her phone slipped from her nerveless grasp, tumbling through the air in slow motion. As it fell, the screen lit up one final time, displaying a new chilling message. Mirroring complete, replacing original. The phone hit the floor with a soft thud and the screen went dark. And in the suffocating silence of the apartment, Emily slowly, inevitably began to turn around.